You know, all of us have a dark part to us. A dark part. A very evil part. An evil part that we don't access. An evil part that we don't ever use, but an evil part that's there, that we could access, or that allows us to recognize evil when we see it. And there's this other part which is a natural outgrowth of that. It's a very good part by virtue of our developed evil or ego part. What does that mean? Well, all my life, it seems like I've been fascinated by a number of things. And one of my hobbies has been the study of the clinical aspects, the psychological matrices involving serial killing. What makes a serial killer a serial killer? Why? There are so few of them. There are people in prisons right now who are off the psychopath scale, but they're not serial killers. There are people who are serial everything, but not serial killers. There are people who have been killers, but they're not serial killers. What is it? What is it that turns off their sense of right and wrong? Well, through my studies, I've also found out that there are people who do not necessarily respond to those things which are, that mean something to us. Things like morality, rational thought, feelings of empathy and compassion. To a lot of people, this means nothing to them. And you see, the only thing they do respond to is abject, focused, and terrifying retribution and terror directed at them. Directed at them. So when I hear that there are vigilantes and good Samaritans and people who decide that they're going to take not the law into their own hands, because the law belongs in their hands. It's their law. You don't have to ask permission for this. There's a part of me that enjoys this thoroughly. There's a part of this that says, you know, I might want to reconsider my usual standing objection to things like torture and capital punishment. And for the longest time, I actually used to think that it is axiomatic for human beings to eschew the notion of torture. To make a point. Torture to frighten. Torture to make people say, oh, I guess I picked the wrong city to do this. Yeah. I guess I picked the wrong group of people to, but yeah, I think so. Yeah. Gee, maybe I should perhaps think of a new line of work. Mm-hmm. See, because this fellow that they caught in Queens who savaged these 13-year-old girls, you have no idea how this just, it's in my mind. It won't go away. I can't get rid of it. And how they took these two girls and made one watch and threatened them and just did horrible things. And then said, I don't care. A person devoid. Now, let me explain to you the following, and I want you to listen to this. Imagine if this person were to have been caught, but instead of having been turned over to the police, just hear me out. I'm not necessarily advocating this. I'm just telling you to use your head and just tell me what would happen. But imagine if a form of, for lack of a better word, some frontier justice were to have been applied, and this individual were to have been put in a most painful and uncomfortable of positions. And then the word gets out. The word gets out among the miscreants, the savages, the monsters. They read the paper. They know what's going on. They're aware of what's happening. They can see what's going on in their world. They know. And the word goes out. Don't do that here, because they'll put a picture of you, because everything's monitored here in New York. Everything. Big Brother sometimes comes in handy. See, all of the things that we used to hate, all the surveillance stuff like GPS, I don't know about you, but I love my Waze little app, of course, which is telling the shadow government my every pinpoint moment in my existence. That's true. But in return for that disallowance of privacy comes the most incredible convenience ever. I'm old enough to remember when we had a map. You would open up the map. I don't want to get into that when I was a kid business. But what I'm saying is sometimes it's really good. And sometimes you can say, hey, guess what? This guy who did this terrible thing to these people, whether you're Justin Timberlake getting, whacked out of his mind on Long Island, be surprised, there you are. And what is fascinating beyond fascinating is that this could send a message out to these people who only understand brutality, who come from parts of the world and parts of the third world and parts of other places that where they know nothing but brutality. They know nothing but horror. They know nothing but vigilantism, where they worry more about the citizens than they do the police. And I guess that's kind of what I wish we could do. Just hear me out. I want the bad guys to fear us more than they do the police. Because after all, I don't think they fear the police, do you? It's not the cops' fault. So I think we have to decide how to take this up a notch or two. To paraphrase the great Dr. Emeril Lagasse. What do you think, my friend? Please comment, write your notes and your brilliance down, and comment as you see fit.